this might actually be the worst situation the Sacramento Kings have ever been in. And that's saying a lot considering this is a team that had a 16-year playoff drought. But remember, it was only a couple of years ago when this team was, you know, I don't want to say contenders because that shows I'm just a little bit biased, but god, they were contenders. They were a young up-and-coming team. Think about the Memphis Grizzlies of today or the Houston Rockets of today. That's who the Sacramento Kings were supposed to be. But instead, it seems like everything has crumbled down and just gone crashing into flames. And it is disgusting to watch as a fan, and I'm sure as just an NBA fan as well. And boy, do I have a list of reasons as to why things have come crashing down and why they've all been so terrible. But there's one huge question that I will be answering in this video, and that's whether or not the Sacramento Kings need to start a rebuild. It's a question that I've been avoiding because I am so emotionally invested into this team, but after this 4-game losing streak, we just need to talk about it. But there's actually a bigger elephant in the room, and that's De'Aaron Fox and his current situation. We've been hearing a lot of reports, whether it's from phony Twitter reporters that think they're important, but no one actually cares about what they have to say and all their sources are fake, or it's like Shams and Rich Paul saying, yeah, we sat and talked down with the Kings and asked them, what the hell are you doing? De'Aaron Fox is 27 years old. He turned 27 just a couple of days ago, and he has spent his entire career in Sacramento. He actually wanted to be in Sacramento during draft night because, like some other, you know, optimistic players that have joined the team, they wanted to be the one to break the curse. They wanted to bring success and championships to Sacramento, and you know, we kind of fell short a little bit, but you know, making the playoffs, I think, was a championship enough for this city. I mean, that alone gets you in the band, you know, in the rafters. But even after all this time of De'Aaron Fox sticking around and suffering through, you know, incompetent owners and people not really building a proper team around him, De'Aaron Fox has grown to be a star in Sacramento, and there's not many of stars that have played in this city, and that's excluding like the players who just came here when they were old as hell. Like, I'm not gonna call DeMar DeRozan or Vince Carter a Sacramento star, but in the like Sacramento more recent 2000s and on era, we're really looking at De'Aaron Fox, DeMarcus Cousins, Tyreek Evans, Chris Webber. Those are really the only stars that have ever played for this team, and if you dare talk bad about Tyreek Evans in the comments, I am coming for you. So yeah, it's a bit of a shocker when like your star player that you drafted and have been developing for a long time requests a trade, but at this, or sorry, he didn't request a trade. That's okay, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but he's putting some pressure on the front office, and you know what? I don't even blame him. At first, I wanted to be mad. I wanted to sit here and pout and say, how dare he be disloyal towards my team and my city? But goddamn, what else can the man do? De'Aaron Fox has been here, like I said, for so damn long. He has asked for so long to have a proper team built around him. They finally build a good team, or at least a team that can make the first round of the playoffs. And what happens? Well, they get still. They don't do anything. They just stagnate in the water. The West continued to get better with trades and movements and all these people joining the West, and the Kings just sat there. They didn't do anything. It's, oh my God, like it hurts my head. And at the time, you're kind of thinking like, all right, you know, they had a good season. It's a young team, so running it back is probably the best idea. But there were clear weaknesses that people like De'Aaron Fox knew they had and wanted to have addressed, but they would not do it. They wouldn't do anything. But moral of the story is that De'Aaron Fox has really done everything that he can do. And if that means that in 2 years or next year he gets traded to a team where they actually have a chance at winning something, I am happy for him. I think that that is enough for me just to, you know, be happy to be able to watch him play somewhere else and not have a, you know, fractured image of him in my head. A bitter taste is what I was trying to say. Jesus Christ. But at the same time, he's also kind of the problem, because like I've mentioned a million times in the start of this video, he has been in Sacramento the longest. He's been around for some time, especially after Harrison Barnes got shipped out to San Antonio. And even though he's been here for that long, even though he is the face of the franchise, he isn't really a leader. And I could be wrong, right? I am not in the locker rooms. I'm not a media personnel that's following him around all day, right? I don't really know the inside behind the scenes stuff. But when you watch him on the court and when you hear the stuff about what they do in practice, he is not a vocal leader. He is not going to sit down and tell Keegan Murray to shoot the fucking ball. He's not going to yell at Keon Ellis for not getting back in, you know, transition defense because, well, Keon's always back in transition defense, but he's not that vocal leader that the team needs. And if he's not going to do it, then the number 2 guy has to, and that's Domantas Sabonis. But he doesn't do that. So the number 3 guy needs to do that. Well, DeMar DeRozan doesn't do that. You see what I mean? It's a common pattern of no players standing up and holding each other accountable. They all rely on Mike Brown to do that. I've heard it a million times from De'Aaron Fox that he kind of relies on the head coach to be the one to yell at the players or tell them what they're doing wrong. And you know what? That can only get you so fucking far. I made a tweet about this earlier where honestly, the Sacramento Kings are just the biggest group of pussies I have ever seen. You look at teams like the Houston Rockets, they are mean, they are physical, they stand up for one another. You look at teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, they're mean, they're physical, they stand up for one another. The OKC Thunder, all of these teams have dogs, and I hate using that word because it feels like a buzzword that people just say to make their teams sound, you know, more intense or cooler, but they seriously do have players who will like back each other up and stand up to one another or talk shit or do something or give someone a little bump when they're doing. They just have that. The Kings are so soft, whether it's holding each other accountable or talking to the other team. And De'Aaron Fox, I'm sorry, but how do you only activate into superpower, super NBA, all NBA MVP mode when someone is shit talking you? How is that your only motivator to fucking play good? I'm sorry, that is ridiculous. I know that some players just go to a next level when they do get, you know, shit talked by other players or fans or whatever, but usually those guys are already like all NBA caliber players. Luka Doncic going from a 30-point, you know, per game player to a 40-point per game when someone is shit talking him, that's different. We see De'Aaron Fox actually turn into the player that he should be when someone is shit talking him. And I think it just shows that this team is a bunch of pussies, and that's not really gonna get you far. As for the more physical stuff, sorry, I have some notes down over here. Their defense is bad, but we all knew that. The defense has been bad since they were good in the playoffs, which is why, honestly, my biggest problem for the entire team is the offense. I don't know what other Kings, you know, people you guys follow, or if you follow the team yourself, or how, you know, how much you guys know about the team, but defense has always been a huge point of emphasis for this team, whether it comes from Mike Brown, the media, or just the numbers itself. But I was never expecting this team to be good at defense. Was I hoping that they were coming into the season? Yeah, I hope that they were good. But I wasn't coming in with an expectation of like, oh yeah, they're going to be a top 5 defense in the league because Keegan Murray took a leap. You know what I was expecting from them though? Was good fucking offense, because they had an NBA historic, like top, one of the best offenses of all time just a couple of years ago, and now they can't seem to make shots for shit. So when I hear people talk about the defense or talk about how, you know, oh, we need to get this player because he's a good defensive player, yes, that is great. I think that they will help a ton and the defense will get better. That's awesome. But this Kings team is absolutely nothing if they can't score the ball. And when the Kings, last time I checked, are 22nd in 3-pointers made, or 3-point percentage, you're a lottery team. Just get ready for Cooper Flagg. Start printing his fucking jersey right now. Start stitching that shit together. So I think the entire conversation around the defense and offense is completely fucked up. Whether you want to place that blame on DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk being in the starting lineup, that is up to you. I will let you guys talk about that in the comments down below. Me personally, I don't think DeMar has been like the huge sole reason for why the team is tanking, because they were already declining last year. But maybe if you're Mike Brown, you actually make a fucking rotation and grow some balls for once and put DeMar maybe on the bench at this point. Because when I talk about this team being a bunch of pussies, Mike Brown, you are wrapped up right alongside them. I don't understand what head coach sees the defensive struggles and the 3-point struggles that they're having and looks over to their best defensive and most efficient 3-point scorers on the team and says, you know what? You're getting a DNP tonight. I am not going to play you. And it's funny because even people at the arena were confused. They're chanting Keon Ellis, asking for him to play in the game.
Back to the action, 73-61. Indiana with the lead. 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Mark Jones courtside along.
And well, obviously, Mike Brown didn't put Keon Ellis in this game at all or until garbage time. And in his post-game press conference, he was asked, you know, what was that about? You know, where are the minutes for these guys like Keon or Isaac Jones? And he basically said, I swear on everything, Doug McDermott had a couple good games, so I figured I'd give him some run. What are we doing? What are we doing? And this is even why, like, when I hear people say fire Mike Brown, I don't even deny it. I've loved Mike Brown and what he's done in Sacramento, but that is ridiculous. You don't have minutes for your best player on the team? I don't even give a fuck about anyone else. Keon Ellis is your best player. He is your best role player, most efficient, most effective, everything he does. Isaac Jones has been a stud, a pop out of nowhere, has grown to be a great player. No minutes. Because Doug McDermott, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Lyles need their fucking run. Run a fucking deeper lineup then. Run more guys. How about we don't do an 8-man lineup? It's like, it fucking drives me insane. And I am never, if you guys watch my videos, I am never the one to say to fire a coach. I'm always talking about how the coaches are the scapegoat and it's usually the players. And it is the players' fault, but god damn. And it feels like this repetitive cycle where it's like, just give them time. They're still learning how to play with DeMar DeRozan. You know, Mike Brown is still figuring out his rotations. It's not like they're getting blown out every game. They're having some close games, so it almost just feels like, you know, in a matter of time, they're gonna get their shit together, right? They never get their shit together. I'm so done waiting for this team to magically fucking click and get everything back into order. When in the locker room, they're going, well, shit, Fox is gonna be fucking out of here. So, like, Keegan Murray has been a problem for me for some time now, which really sucks. I absolutely loved Keegan Murray, but he's kind of switched just to be a defensive player and is basically a nothing burger on offense. And then on defense, you know, when he's doing good next to guys like Pascal Siakam, all they do is switch off of him, and then he's basically fucking pointless on both defense and offense. So that's cool. And you know what? As much as it really hurts to say, after 16 years of being in a playoff drought and having one good year, but also one really good year that felt like you had potential carrying into the next couple of seasons, I think it's time to start kind of get an idea of what a rebuild would look like. You obviously wait till the end of the season. I don't think that this year is the year to blow things up and trade everyone away, but next year, when you see that De'Aaron Fox is going to want out because you maybe didn't make the playoffs or didn't make it deep into the playoffs, you obviously shop him around. You're not going to let him walk for free, and then you kind of just slowly get rid of everyone else and go back to mediocrity and being completely ass and the, you know, laughing stock of the league, quite literally, for some time. And I think one of the biggest reasons as to why it's so hard to say that and kind of admit that the Kings need to start a rebuild soon is just the idea of, like, is this shit gonna take another 16 years? With the way that ownership is, with how they've been for so long, like, when are we gonna get another season where everything kind of clicks like it did that one year? That being said, hope you guys all enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below your opinions on the Kings, okay? I read and respond to everyone, and maybe you guys are more optimistic or maybe even more of a doomer than I am on this team. So yeah, I will see you guys all in the next one. Later.